Some of the best brands on the market for high performance handheld lights are Modlite and Cloud Defensive. In this week's video, I'm going to be comparing Modlite's PLH-V2 and OKW heads with Cloud Defensive's MCH-HC single output light. If you haven't already watched my video from 2 weeks ago where I went through and outlined lumens, candela, and photonic barriers, then you might want to go back and watch that video really quick before you dive into this one because it'll provide a little bit more context for you. But if you already know what lumens, candela, and photonic barriers are, then we can go ahead and just get started. Here I have the Modlite OKW and the larger 18650 body. I find that carrying this size is better for carrying inside the waistband. It's more comfortable and I find that it's more stable for that purpose, but it can be hard to carry in a pocket unless your pants are loose-ish and or your pockets are really deep. Here we have the Modlite PLH-V2 in the smaller 18350 body. I find that this size is much better for pocket carry over the bigger 18650 body. It interacts really nicely with the Throom clips and the Raven clips if you can find one. And the Cloud Defensive MCH-HC single output. The clip on this is the same one that I have on my Modlites, but the shape of the small cloud makes the clip hang on way too tight, and that makes it hard to use or really carry in a pocket. And as a result, I've honestly never carried this in a pocket. I use it pretty much exclusively for carrying in a purse. The tail cap on the MCH is adjustable, so you can kind of decide what depth you want to have the button at. Mine is on the middle setting, and you'll find that the Modlite actually doesn't have the ability to make this adjustment. So if that's at all important to you, note that you don't get that feature in the Modlite. But for me personally, I find that I don't really miss having that feature in the Modlite. I also did notice that on the MCH, the button itself kind of required a little bit more of a firm press to activate it than it did on either of the Modlites. But honestly, both of them are good. There's not really anything negative about needing to, press a little bit firmer. I don't have a major preference either way. So after some testing with an infrared thermometer, it looks like the Modlites will get about 15 to 20 degrees warmer than their starting temperature after 90 to 120 seconds of use, whereas the Cloud lights get way hotter, way faster. On average, the MCH-HC heats up 30 degrees or more in 90 seconds. That means that if you're carrying your MCH in your pocket on a hot day and you wind up needing to use it for more than a minute, it's probably going to actually get hot enough in your hand that it's uncomfortable to hold. The Modlite OKW comes in at 5700 Kelvin with approximately 680 lumens and 69,000 candela. The PLH-V2 comes in again at 5700 Kelvin, 1350 lumens, and approximately 54,000 candela. The Cloud Defensive MCH-HC single output in the smaller 18350 package comes in at 63,000 candela, 950 lumens, and 5200 Kelvin. Both the Modlites and the Cloud Defensive lights can be purchased in the smaller 18350 and the larger 18650 bodies. But the thing that I found really interesting was that with the Modlites, when you switch between the two body sizes, the only spec that changes is the battery life, which of course makes sense. If you're using a larger battery, it's going to last longer. But what I found really interesting was that with the Cloud Defensive lights, when you switch between the two different body sizes, everything changes. That includes the lumens, candela, and battery life. So that's going to be something to note and to consider that in this review, in this video, I'm using the smaller body for the MCH, and that actually has a slightly lower candela and lumen. carrying all three lights, the OKW has a really tight beam without very much spill. The PLH-V2 still has a good hotspot relative to lower candela lights, but it is still much less focused and more floody. Honestly, the MCH-HC is a great blend of both. You get a great hotspot similar to the OKW, but with more spill like the PLH-V2. When it comes to photonic barriers, honestly, all three of these lights performed really well in all the different conditions that we use them in, and I don't know that I could really even say that one of them won out over the other. We tested each of these lights by identifying the phone and the knife in my husband's hands at dusk under some trees, on the other side of my headlights, and in the shadows under some streetlights. With the OKW's really tight hotspot, it had absolutely no issues punching through any of these photonic barriers. The PLH-V2 performed really great in all these conditions as well, but I think it provided a bit more flood, which gave me more context for what was surrounding my husband. The cloud light had a similar flood to the PLH-V2 with a bright hotspot kind of similar to the OKW. Pricing is where these lights really start to differ, and it's actually one of the primary reasons that I wanted to do this entire light overview so that you guys could get a better idea for what kind of performance you were getting out of these lights with such a big price gap. Both of the Modlites came in at $309, with the MCH coming in at $220, a whole $111 less expensive. Although this is still not a budget light kind of price, it is important to note that you're still getting really good performance out of something that is notably less expensive. Personally, I still really do prefer using the Modlites over the MCH, almost entirely because of the felt temperature in my hand. I realize that these lights are not necessarily designed for extended use, but I do still like to know that I can have this light in my hand for several minutes without feeling like I'm uncomfortable holding it. And I honestly felt pretty uncomfortable with the temperature in hand with the MCH after not very long period of time. That said though, the MCH has absolutely earned its spot in this lineup with it being such a quality light that has good output, and honestly it certainly does not hurt that it's over $100 less expensive than the Modlites. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you are interested in any of these lights and you would like to get a little bit more of a discount on them, you can actually go down in the description below and check out my link through Big Tech's Ordinance where you can get an additional 10% off. The great thing about this code as well is that I do get a small percentage of that, which is absolutely what allows me to make videos like this. By no means could I afford to buy multiple lights in this price range without you guys watching the ads in these videos and using these codes whenever you guys are, needing to purchase things that Big Tech's has to offer. So thank you guys for your support. And again, if you're wanting to get any of these lights, go check out Big Tech's Ordinance.